There we go, nice and center. Hello, my crafty creatures. 'Tis I, 'tis Ro. It's been a hot minute since I made a video. I've mostly stuck to posting on my Tumblr blog, and now I also have a WordPress. So much social media, good gosh. And, you know, I'm not sick, so my voice isn't so raspy this time. So I thought I'd make another video and talk to you guys really quickly about this fun little book that I picked up at my local bookstore around last week. I read through this thing so freaking quick, and then I read through it again just to get a better idea of this book. It's Basic Witches, co-written by Jana Sazena, I think is how you say it, Saxena, and Jess Zimmerman, and it's illustrated by Camille Chu. This is like half witchcraft book, half self-help. It's not technically intended for witches, but speaking as a member of the community, I'm taking it anyway. It's for me now too, because why not? You know, you're going to write a feminist self-help book written through the lens of witchcraft and using the witch as a feminist archetype for, you know, focusing on yourself and taking power within yourself, then of course I'm going to be like, yeah, this is totally for me. Granted, they have a opening like chapter that basically says, you know, the witches and pagans and Wiccans of the world, they're already covered. This book is for you, meaning like the everyday person. I get it. They don't want to kind of step on anybody's toes, right? So I get where they're coming from. But as a witch, I'm a fan, all right? I mean, I have a couple little small things with this book that kind of make me a bit crazy. Mainly that there's a section where it's in relation to sexuality and relationships, like in that chapter, and it's 2 pages, but they're using like this black magic versus white magic concept. And you know, at first I was a little bit miffed, and I was like, well, they're using it as a metaphor for like unpleasant choices versus possibly more positive choices. And I get that. I just kind of wish, you know, the authors had done a little bit more research into the connotations behind black magic and white magic and how it has racist roots, basically. You know, I wish that was something that they would have considered before just throwing that in there. But it's already in print, so what can you do, right? But you know, if you take it from the perspective of this is being used as a metaphor, you might be able to kind of just accept that and just it's literally 2 pages. I kind of just tend to ignore those pages at this point, just because I'm not a fan of that. Anyways, one other criticism I have of this book, specifically in the whole chapter for glamours, was that it was very female-centric, but they did a really great job of taking a second to touch down on that. There's a whole page that's like Dapper Magic or something like that, and they're basically like, hey, this is also, oh, here it is. This is also, you know, for masculine presenting people, butch females, or, you know, guys even. Like, this is also for you. You know, you just got to tweak it a little bit. We just focused on, they basically said we just focused on the female perspective, because otherwise it would have been confusing. So, you know, to simplify things. What I like about this book is that, they're like, oh, this is not a witchcraft book, but then they take the time to write out spells and stuff like that. And a lot of these are very introspective spells, focused on the self, focused on betterment of yourself, which I think is great. Like a spell to accept compliments. Lordy knows I need that. Or cosmic enchilada, whatever it is that calls to you. One of my favorite ones that I saw in here was a spell to deepen friendship, which it's like a collaborative ritual, basically. And I'm really inspired by this little entry right here. I kind of want to steal it or kind of take inspiration from it, and use it with some of my friends who are more witchy inclined, because yeah, why not? Because I feel very attached to these people, and I think sharing something like this with them would be great. There's also other really great things about this book, especially the illustrations. You may have saw while I was flipping through, the different chapters. There's always an illustration for each chapter. There are some pages that are just straight up illustrations, like this one, which pet should be your familiar, which is really cute. And this is where these illustrated pages are often when the book tends to get a little bit lighthearted, which is great, I think, especially for a self-help book. I feel like a lot of self-help books take themselves way too seriously, and they don't let themselves have a little bit of fun. So I really love this. I mean, one of my favorite things is they have a tea leaf reading page with illustrations, and it's like all the things that the tea leaves can mean. And one of them just says, is a clump of tea leaves, and the meaning is you just had some tea. Like, it gets a little sassy with you, and I think that's really hilarious, and really fun. And like another one is right here. It goes, I'll bring this a little bit closer. It goes, you're gonna die. This one could mean anything. Leonardo's Last Supper, your cup is way too big. So basically, like, I like how this book gets a little bit witty. But also, on a final note, this book does include a hex. One hex, and only one hex, which I think makes sense. And they set it up when they write it out for you. They're basically like, this may not work, but it's a great way to give you emotional relief. And I think that's a really great thing to include. I know some people are going to be like, oh my god, threefold blah. Pause, honey, because not everybody believes that. It's a Wiccan concept. Oh my god, karma. Pause, sweetie. You're thinking of the Western version of karma, and that's not how that works. So I think it's really great that they include this, and that it's not 110% sunshine and rainbows in here. Just because, like, sometimes the hex can be just part of the healing process. There have been a handful of hexes I think I've done, I don't know, maybe like one for each year that I've been a witch. Or one like every 2 years or something like that. Not a lot, but a good number. And 2 or 3 of them, I didn't really mean them. I was just kind of angry, and doing that ritual felt good to get it out of my system, right? And so this kind of takes that approach to the hex, and I think that's perfectly fine, and I think it's perfectly valid, and I'm glad that it's there. And they also have something similar, kind of a polar opposite, spell to break a curse. And, they preface it by saying, this may not stop bad things from happening, but hopefully it will remind you to stay positive, and that things won't always be the way that they are right now. And I think that's another really important thing to do. And so I honestly like this ritual as well. I don't see it as breaking a curse, honestly. I see it more of as a light at the end of the tunnel kind of meditation, and that's fine. And yeah, honestly, a lot of these spells kind of read like focused meditations with a specific goal in mind. And I mean, isn't that kind of what a spell is at the end of the day, almost? Or a lot of spells are, honestly. A lot of personal introspective spells, at the very least. So all in all, I know that they say that this book is not for witches. And I think in part the reason for that is marketing. Not wanting to be labeled as weirdos or something like that. But I would say if you're a witch, go ahead and pick this up. Again, unless you take issues with some of the things that I mentioned, then maybe this isn't for you. But overall, this book brought a smile to my face. I didn't really need it, but it kind of like put a little spark back in my brain in regards to witchcraft. And I think this is something great to have on your bookshelf for when you're having just a complete crap day. So yeah, if you agree with me, if you liked what I showed you, I highly recommend that you check this book out. And even just go to your local bookstore and thumb through it. Maybe bring it home if you feel like it, if you can, because I know not everybody can, but I will be keeping this book. I like the message of positivity that it brings out overall. And I think it's a great little reminder to keep on my bookshelf. So next time that you'll be hearing from me for any reviews, I'll be reviewing this book. I am just getting started with this one. This is more for me personally because I've been feeling a bit of a creative slump, and I'm wondering if this will help. If it does, I will tell you guys about it. So stay tuned, stay magical. Much love to you all, and have a great whatever time of day it is in your time zone. Okay, bye.